I'm 32 years old, and I've spent the last decade building a life I thought was solid. My wife, Sophia, has been at the center of it all, and I've always done my best to keep her happy. I'm not some rich guy with millions in the bank, but I've worked hard, long hours, stressful deadlines, all to make sure our bills were paid and Sophia had what she needed. I took pride in that. I like being the guy who could provide, the one who made things work even when money got tight. Sophia, though she's different, she's always loved the finer things. Designer handbags that cost more than my monthly rent. Vacations to places I'd never even heard of until she showed me pictures. Dinners at restaurants where the bill made my stomach twist. I didn't mind too much, though. If she wanted it, I found a way to make it happen. That's what you do when you love someone, right? You give even when it's tough. I didn't ask for much in return. A quiet night at home with her. Maybe a thank you now and then. That was enough for me. But looking back, I should have paid more attention. There were signs, little cracks in the picture-perfect life I thought we had. Sophia and her friends Clara and Rachel were obsessed with showing off. Every trip they took had to be perfect for Instagram. Sunsets in exotic places, cocktails with little umbrellas, outfits that screamed money. I'd come home wiped out from work, my shoulders aching from sitting at a desk all day, and she'd roll her eyes if I suggested saving instead of spending. "You're too serious," she'd say, laughing like it was a joke. I'd laugh too, brushing it off because I didn't want to fight. I loved her too much to see what was right in front of me. Love can make you stupid like that, blind to the things you don't want to admit. Then everything changed. It was late, maybe 10 at night, and I was driving home from a meeting that had dragged on forever. My eyes were heavy, but I kept going, thinking about how I'd surprise Sophia with takeout. Maybe that type place she liked. I didn't see the other car until it was too late. There was a loud screech, metal crunching, glass shattering, and then nothing. Just black. When I opened my eyes again, I was in a hospital bed, hooked up to machines that beeped every few seconds. My whole body felt like it had been run over by a truck. The doctor came in, a serious guy with glasses, and told me I'd been lucky. A broken arm, some cracked ribs, a concussion, bad, but not fatal. I'd need weeks to recover, he said. I nodded, still groggy, and reached for my phone. I figured Sophia would be freaking out, probably blowing up my inbox with worried texts, maybe even crying at my bedside when I woke up. But she wasn't there. My phone was on the little table next to me, and when I grabbed it, I saw just one notification, a voicemail. I hit play, expecting to hear her voice shaking, telling me she was on her way. Instead, it was light, casual, like she was leaving a message about grocery shopping. "Hey babe, hope you're feeling better." So, me, Clara, and Rachel already planned this Rome trip, and we're going ahead as scheduled. Don't worry about us. We're going to have so much fun. Just rest, okay? Oh, and please don't call and disturb us. That was it. No, I love you. No, I'm scared. Nothing. My chest tightened, and not just from the ribs. She didn't even ask if I was okay. I replayed it, thinking maybe I'd heard wrong. But no, it was clear as day. My wife, the woman I'd spent years bending over backwards for, was leaving me here, broken and alone, to go party in Italy. And she didn't want me to bother her about it. I sat there staring at the cracked screen of my phone, the hospital room spinning a little. The beeping machines felt louder, like they were mocking me. I'd always told myself Sophia loved me in her own way, that her spending and her attitude didn't mean she didn't care. But this wasn't love. This was something else, something cold and selfish. I thought about all the times I'd ignored the red flags. The way she'd smirk when I said we couldn't afford something. The way Clara and Rachel would giggle about how responsible I was, like it was a bad thing. I'd let it slide because I didn't want to lose her. But now, lying here with a busted body and a voicemail that might as well have been a slap in the face, I realized I'd been fooling myself. She didn't care about me, not the way I cared about her, and that hurt more than the accident ever could. The nurse came in asking if I needed anything, but I just shook my head. I didn't trust my voice yet. My mind was racing, replaying every moment of our marriage, every sacrifice I'd made. The late nights at work so she could have that new purse. The weekends I'd spend alone because she was off with her friends. The way I'd smile and say it's fine when she brushed me off. I'd given her everything. And this was what I got in return. A cheery little message telling me not to ruin her fun. My hands clenched into fists before tugging at my skin. I didn't know what I was going to do yet. But something inside me shifted. I wasn't just hurt, I was angry. For the first time in years, I felt like I could see her for who she really was. And I wasn't sure I liked what I saw. The accident had broken my body. But Sophia, she'd broken something else entirely. And I wasn't sure I could forgive her for it. The hospital room was dim when I woke up. The only light coming from the faint glow of the machines next to me. My body hurt everywhere. My arm in a cast, my ribs screaming every time I took a breath, my head pounding like someone was hitting it with a hammer. I'd been driving home the night before, thinking about surprising Sophia with dinner, maybe some flowers to make her smile. It was a long day, one of those meetings where the boss wouldn't stop talking. And all I wanted was to see her face light up. Then it happened. Tires screeching, a flash of headlights, the world flipping upside down. I don't remember much after that. Just the sound of metal twisting and then darkness swallowing me whole. When my eyes opened again, I was here staring at a white ceiling, trying to piece it all together. The doctor had come by earlier, telling me I dodged a bullet. Could have been worse, he said, like that was supposed to make me feel better. Weeks of recovery, he told me. Bed rest, pain meds, the works. I nodded, still half out of it, and reached for my phone. I expected to see a dozen missed calls from Sophia, texts begging me to answer, maybe even a voice cracking with tears. She'd be worried sick, right? I mean, I'd almost died. My hands shook a little as I unlocked the screen, the cracked glass catching the light. One notification, just one. A voicemail time-stamped a few hours ago. I hit play, holding the phone to my ear, ready to hear her panic, her love, something to make this ache in my chest feel less heavy. "Hey babe, hope you're feeling better." She started her voice bright, like she was ordering coffee. "So me, Clara, and Rachel already planned this Rome trip, and we're going ahead as scheduled. Don't worry about us. We're going to have so much fun. Just rest, okay? Oh, and please don't call and disturb us." The message ended with a little laugh, like she just told me a funny story. I stared at the phone, my thumb hovering over the play button. Did I hear that right? I played it again, slower this time, listening to every word. Nope, no mistake. My wife was ditching me. Me lying here, broken in a hospital bed to go party and roam with her friends. And she didn't want me to bother her. My stomach twisted, and it wasn't from the pain meds. I kept the phone pressed to my ear, even after the message ended, like maybe there'd be a hidden part where she'd say she was kidding. But there wasn't. Just silence. Then the beep of the voicemail menu. I dropped the phone onto the blanket, my good hand curling into a fist. She hadn't even come to see me. I'd been out cold for hours, hooked up to tubes, and she didn't even check if I was alive before hopping on a plane. No, I love you. No, I'm scared. Not even a call me when you wake up. Just don't disturb us. Like I was some annoying kid she didn't want bugging her vacation. I leaned back against the pillow, my breath coming fast despite the pain in my ribs. The room felt smaller, the walls closing in. I'd spent years making sure she had everything. Those fancy bags, those trips, the life she wanted. And this was what I got. A pat on the head and a see you later. I tried to picture her standing in some airport with Clara and Rachel, all giggles and suitcases, not a care in the world. Did she even ask about me? Did she call the hospital? Or was that too much effort? My mind spun, replaying the last few weeks. She'd been so excited about Rome, going on about the food, the shopping, the pictures they'd take. I'd smiled, nodded, even helped her pack, all while working overtime to cover the cost. I didn't complain because that's who I am. I take care of things. I take care of her. But now, lying here, I felt like an idiot. She didn't care if I was okay. She didn't care that I'd almost died. All she cared about was her fun, her friends, her stupid trip. The anger started low, a rumble in my chest, then spread until my whole body felt hot. I wanted to yell, to throw something, but I couldn't even sit up without wincing. The nurse came in, a kind-looking woman with gray hair, asking if I needed water or more meds. I shook my head, not trusting myself to speak. She gave me a small smile and left, the door clicking shut behind her. Alone again, I stared at the ceiling, the voicemail echoing in my head. Don't disturb us. Those words cut deeper than the crash ever could. I thought about calling her, demanding to know what the hell she was thinking. But what would that do? She'd probably laugh it off, tell me I was overreacting, or worse, she'd ignore me completely. My fingers tightened around the blanket. I'd given her everything, my time, my money, my heart. And she'd left me here like I was nothing. Something snapped inside me, sharp and final. I didn't know what I'd do next. But I knew one thing for sure. I was done being her doormat. She'd made her choice. Now it was my turn. The hospital ceiling was all I could stare at for hours. Those ugly white tiles with little black specks that made my eyes blur if I looked too long. My body still ached. My arm in its stiff cast, my ribs throbbing every time I shifted. My head heavy from the concussion. The pain meds dulled it a little, but not enough to stop me from feeling everything else. That voicemail from Sophia kept playing in my head over and over, like a song I couldn't turn off. Hey babe, hope you're feeling better. We're going ahead as scheduled. Please don't call and disturb us. Her voice so light and carefree, like she was telling me she'd be late for dinner, not leaving me alone in a hospital bed after I'd nearly died. I'd listened to it maybe 10 times already, each replay making my chest tighter, my hands clench harder. I wasn't just hurt anymore. I was mad. Madder than I'd ever been in my whole life. And it wasn't the kind of mad that fades after a few minutes. This was deep, burning, the kind that makes you want to do something big. I thought about everything I'd done for her. I'm 32, not old, but I've worked my ass off to give us a good life. Late nights at the office, weekends spent catching up on emails. Also, Sophia could have her designer bags and fancy dinners. I paid for everything. Our rent, her clothes, those trips with Clara and Rachel that I never got invited to. I didn't mind, or at least I told myself I didn't. She'd smile, kiss my cheek, and I'd feel like it was worth it. But now I saw it clear as day. She didn't care about me. Not really. I'd been in a car wreck, totaled my truck, ended up here with tubes in my arm, and she couldn't even wait to see if I'd wake up before jetting off to Rome. She didn't call the hospital, didn't text to check in, just that one stupid message telling me to leave her alone. I'd given her my whole world, and I didn't even matter to her. That hit me harder than the crash ever could. The more I thought about it, the angrier I got. I'd paid for that Rome trip, Every flight, every hotel room, every glass of wine she'd sip while laughing with her friends. My money, my sweat, my long hours, and she couldn't even be bothered to care if I lived or died. I pictured her there now, probably posting selfies on Instagram, captioning them with something dumb like, "Living my best life while I lay here stuck in this bed alone." Fine. And I thought, if she wanted to leave me behind like I was nothing, then I'd leave her behind too. She didn't get to treat me like this and keep everything I'd given her. Not anymore. My mind started racing, and before I knew it, I was reaching for my laptop. It was on the table next to me, a little scratch from the wreck, but still working. I propped it on my lap, wincing as my ribs complained, and logged into our bank accounts. We had joint accounts, everything tied together because I trusted her. Big mistake. My fingers moved fast, typing passwords, pulling up balances. I saw the charges already hitting from Rome, coffee shops, boutiques, a big one from some fancy restaurant. My money spent without a second thought. I gritted my teeth and got to work. First, I blocked all the ATM cards linked to her name. Click done. No more cash for her. Then, I locked every bank account she had access to. Our checking, our savings, the emergency fund I'd built up over years. Click, click, click. She wasn't getting a dime. Finally, I went into the credit cards and canceled all international transaction privileges. Anything she tried to swipe in Italy would bounce, declined, useless. It took maybe 10 minutes, and when I was done, I leaned back, breathing hard. Sophia and her friends were stranded now. No money, no way to pay for anything. Good luck with your fun, I thought. A bitter taste in my mouth. I closed the laptop and set it aside. My heart pounding, but not from pain this time. It was something else. Satisfaction maybe, or power. For once, I wasn't the guy just taking it. I'd hit back. I could imagine her face when her card got declined. That smug little smile fading as Clara and Rachel panicked next to her. They'd probably call me soon, begging, yelling, whatever. I didn't care. I grabbed my phone, still sitting there with that damn voicemail, and turned it to silent. No more beeps, no more interruptions. The room was quiet now. Just the hum of the machines and my own breathing. I closed my eyes, letting the anger settle into something solid, something I could hold on to. Sophia thought she could walk all over me, leave me here like trash, and still keep living her perfect little life on my dime. She was wrong. I wasn't sure what would happen next. But for the first time in days, I felt like I could rest. So I did. I let sleep take me, knowing she'd figure out soon enough that her world had just flipped upside down. The hospital room was dark when my phone started buzzing, the screen lighting up the blanket where I tossed it. I turned it to silent before I fell asleep, but the vibration still woke me up. My eyes were gritty, my body stiff from lying in the same position too long, and every move made my ribs ache like someone was jabbing me with a stick. I glanced at the clock on the wall. 3:45 a.m. Who the hell was calling me at this hour? I didn't need to guess too hard. I reached for the phone, wincing as my cast brushed the bed rail, and saw Sophia's name flashing. Missed call. Then another buzz, another one. By the time I unlocked it, there were 3 missed calls, all from her and a handful of texts piling up. I rubbed my face with my good hand, the fog of sleep clearing as I realized what was happening. It had been a day since I locked her out of our accounts, blocked her cards, cut her off. They must have landed in Rome by now, tried to spend my money, and figured out it wasn't working. I opened the messages, leaning back against the pillow, the dim light from the screen making my head throb a little. The first one was simple, casual, like she didn't think it was a big deal yet. "Babe, there's something wrong with my card. It's declining everywhere. Can you check? Sent a few hours ago. Probably when they got to the hotel or some shop." The next one, an hour later. "Are you awake? This is serious." Then Clara's number popped up. "Hey, I think our cards aren't working. We can't check in at the hotel. Call Sophia and Rachel, always the dramatic one. WTF is going on? We're stuck." I scrolled through them, my lips twitching into a smirk. I could picture it. Sophia standing there with her fancy suitcase, swiping her card over and over. That annoyed little frown she gets when things don't go her way. Clara probably whining. Rachel cursing loud enough for everyone to hear. They'd planned this big, glamorous trip, and now they were stuck. Probably sweating in some airport lobby or arguing with a hotel clerk who didn't care. By morning, the messages had piled up. Dozens of them, each one more frantic than the last. My phone buzzed again as I held it. Another call from Sophia. I let it go to voicemail, watching the screen until it stopped. A minute later, the little icon popped up. New message. I didn't play it yet. I just sat there, letting the quiet of the room settle around me. The steady beep of the heart monitor, keeping time with my thoughts. I wasn't surprised they were freaking out. I'd cut them off cold. No cash, no credit, nothing. All that money I'd worked for, the overtime I'd put in, the nights I'd come home too tired to eat, they'd been spending it like it grew on trees. And now they had nothing. I'd made sure of that. Part of me wanted to laugh, imagining them scrambling, but another part just felt heavy. This was my wife, the woman I'd promised to love forever. And here I was, smirking at her panic. What did that say about us? I scrolled back through the texts, reading them again. Sophia's tone had shifted fast. The first few were annoyed, like she thought I'd just forgotten to pay a bill or something. "Babe, fix this." She wrote at 5 a.m. Then an hour later, "This isn't funny. We're stuck at the airport." Clara chimed in again. "Do you know how humiliating this is? We can't even buy food." Rachel's next one was all caps. "You need to answer us now." I could hear their voices in my head, the way they'd snap at waiters or complain about slow service. They weren't used to this, being told no, having to figure things out. Sophia, especially. She'd always had me to fall back on, me to fix it, me to make it right. Not this time. I'd lay here in this bed, bruised and broken, listening to her tell me not to disturb her precious trip. Well, now she'd see what it felt like to be on her own. By noon, the desperation was clear. Sophia's latest text was a wall of words. "Please, I don't know what's happening. The hotel won't let us in. We can't pay for anything. Why aren't you answering?" Another voicemail popped up, and this time I hit play, holding the phone to my ear. Her voice was shrill, cracking at the edges. "Babe, this is insane. My card's not working. Claire is freaking out. Rachel's yelling at everyone. What's going on? Call me, please." I set the phone down, my smirk fading into something colder. She sounded scared. Yeah, but there was still no, "I'm sorry." No. "Are you okay?" Nothing about me, just her mess, her problem. I leaned my head back, closing my eyes. The anger from yesterday was still there, simmering. But now it had an edge. Satisfaction. They were feeling it now. The weight of what she'd done. I'd given her everything, and she'd left me here like I didn't matter. Let her figure out how to survive without me for once. I didn't answer. Not the calls, not the texts, not the voicemails piling up. The nurse came in asking if I was okay, and I nodded, keeping my face blank. She adjusted something on the floor and left, leaving me alone with my thoughts. My phone buzzed again. Sophia, begging now. Please just tell me what's wrong. I ignored it. They were stuck. Yeah, but they'd live. They'd find a way to scrape by, maybe borrow money or call someone else to bail them out. I didn't care. For the first time in years, I wasn't running to fix her problems. I wasn't the guy she could count on to make it all better. She'd made her choice when she left me here, and now she'd deal with mine. I set the phone face down, the buzzing muffled against the blanket, and stared out the window. The sun was up, bright and sharp. It felt like a new day, one where I wasn't her doormat anymore. The hospital room felt colder that afternoon, the air heavy with the smell of antiseptic and the hum of machines keeping me company. My phone hadn't stopped buzzing since the early hours. Sophia's name lighting up the screen over and over, her panic growing with every unanswered call. I'd left it face down on the blanket, the vibrations a dull drone against my leg. But I couldn't ignore it forever. My ribs ached as I shifted, reaching for it with my good hand. The cast on the other, making everything clumsy. The screen was a mess of notifications, missed calls, texts, voicemails, all from her and her friends, Clara and Rachel. I'd locked them out of every account, blocked every card, and now they were feeling the fallout in Rome. No money, no hotel, no fancy dinners, just the three of them, stranded and scrambling. I scrolled through the latest texts, my jaw tight. Sophia's words had gone from annoyed to desperate overnight, and now they were straight up furious. Are you serious right now? How could you do this to me? She'd written an hour ago, all caps, like she was screaming through the phone. Clarice was next. I can't believe you're leaving us stranded in Italy. Fix this now. Then Rachel, always the loudest. We had to sleep in the airport last night. Do you have any idea how embarrassing this is? I read them slow, letting each one sink in. Sleeping in the airport, no hotel. Good. I pictured them huddled on those hard benches, Sophia clutching her suitcase, Clara whining about her back, Rachel glaring at anyone who walked by. They'd gone from sipping wine in Italy to crashing in a terminal. And I didn't feel a shred of guilt. They deserved it. Sophia, especially. She'd left me here, broken and alone with nothing but a voicemail telling me not to bother her. Now she was mad because I'd flipped the script. Tough luck. The phone rang again. Her number, the 7-second call since last night. I stared at it, my thumb hovering over the screen. Part of me wanted to let it ring, keep her hanging, but another part was curious. What would she say now? How loud would she yell? I hit accept and put it to my ear, leaning back against the pillow, my voice calm as I answered. Hello. There was a beat of silence. Then her voice exploded through the line, sharp and furious. How could you do this to me? She shouted so loud I had to pull the phone away for a second. I didn't flinch. I just waited, letting her get it out. She kept going, her words tumbling over each other. Do you know what we've been through? My cards declined everywhere. We can't pay for the hotel. We're stuck sleeping in the damn airport. Why would you do this? I took a slow breath, keeping my tone smooth, almost lazy. Oh, so now I'm worth talking to, I said, cutting her off. Because a few days ago, I was just a disturbance to your little vacation. She went quiet, the kind of silence that feels loud. I could hear her breathing fast and shaky, like she hadn't expected me to push back. I kept going, my voice steady, but cold. You left me in a hospital bed alone so you could party in Rome, and now you want me to fix your problems. She stammered, her anger cracking. But I wasn't thinking. I thought you'd be fine. I laughed short and bitter, cutting her off again. Fine. I almost died, Sophia. Crashed my truck, broke my arm, cracked my ribs. And you didn't even check if I was alive before you took off. You thought I'd be fine. Well, I thought you'd care. Guess we were both wrong. She didn't say anything. Just a little gasp, like she was scrambling for words. I didn't give her the chance. You told me not to disturb you. I said, my voice hard now. So, figure out your own way home. And I hung up, dropping the phone onto the bed like it was nothing. The room was quiet again. Just the beep of the monitor and my own heartbeat thumping in my ears. I stared at the ceiling, replaying the call. She'd sounded so shocked, like she couldn't believe I'd actually done it. Cut her off, left her to fend for herself. What did she expect? That I'd just lie here hurting while she spent my money and laughed with her friends? That I'd pick up the phone and save her the second she snapped her fingers? Not this time. I'd spent years being the guy who fixed everything, who paid for everything, who let her walk all over me because I loved her. But love's supposed to go both ways. And she'd shown me hers was a lie. That voicemail, her cheery little "don't call and disturb us," it was still burned in my head. Every word a knife. She didn't care then. So why should I care now? I thought about what she'd said. I wasn't thinking. Yeah, that was the problem. She never thought about me. Not really. I was just the bank, the safety net, the guy who made her life easy. And Clara and Rachel, they were no better, leeching offer off me like it was their right now. They were stuck. And I could almost see the chaos. Sophia yelling at some poor clerk, Clara crying, Rachel stomping around like a kid throwing a tantrum. They weren't queens anymore, ruling their little Instagram world. They were just three women with no money and no plan. And I'd made that happen. My chest felt lighter, like I'd let go of something heavy. I didn't pick up the phone again when it buzzed. Didn't read the next flood of texts. I was done talking. They'd figure it out or they wouldn't. Either way, it wasn't my problem anymore. For the first time in days, I closed my eyes and felt a real calm settle in. She'd fallen, and I wasn't catching her this time. The hospital room was starting to feel like a cage. The white walls and steady beeps wearing on me as the days dragged on. My body still hurt. My arm stiff in its cast. My ribs sore every time I breathed too deep. But the pain wasn't what kept me up now. It was Sophia. Her calls and texts hadn't stopped since I'd hung up on her yesterday, each one more desperate than the last. I'd stopped answering, stopped even reading most of them. But they kept coming, buzzing my phone like an angry wasp I couldn't swat away. I'd locked her out of our accounts, blocked her cards, left her stranded in Rome with Clara and Rachel, and now they were living the consequences. No more fancy hotels or wine-soaked dinners. Just the three of them scrambling to survive on nothing. I'd done that. Me. And every time my phone lit up with her name, I felt a little spark of something. Not guilt, not anymore, but something close to victory. I finally picked up the phone that afternoon. My good hand sore from gripping it too tight. The screen was full. Missed calls, voicemails, a flood of texts that had shifted from anger to pure panic. Sophia's latest one was a mess. Babe, please, I'm sorry. I wasn't thinking. Another an hour later. We're out of money. We're sleeping in a hostel full of bed bugs. Then Rachel, her usual charm. This is all your fault. Clara wasn't far behind. You are an evil, evil man. I read them slow, letting the words sink in, picturing it all. A hostile bedbugs. I could see Sophia's face, that perfect makeup smudged, her hair a mess, freaking out over itchy bites while Clara and Rachel bickered beside her. They'd gone from posting selfies in Rome to scratching in some dingy room. And I didn't feel bad, not one bit. She'd left me here, broken in a hospital bed with a cheery little "Don't disturb us" voicemail. This was what she got. I leaned back against the pillow, my ribs complaining as I shifted. The anger from before was still there, but it was quieter now, mixed with something else. Satisfaction, maybe, or just relief. I'd spent years giving her everything. Every paycheck, every late night at work, every time I said yes when I wanted to say no, it was all for her. That Rome trip, I'd paid for it. Every cent, working extra hours so she could have her fun with her friends. And how'd she thank me? By taking off while I was unconscious, not even checking if I'd wake up. I replayed that voicemail in my head for the 100th time. Hope you're feeling better. We're going to have so much fun. And my jaw tightened. She didn't care then, so why should I care now? She'd wanted her fantasy and I'd let her have it until I didn't. Now it was a nightmare and I'd pulled the plug. I thought about what she'd said on the phone yesterday, her voice cracking when I called her out. I wasn't thinking. I thought you'd be fine. Fine. I'd totaled my truck, spent hours out cold, woken up to tubes, and a doctor telling me I was lucky to be alive. And she thought I'd be fine. She didn't even ask. Didn't call the hospital, didn't text, didn't care, just packed her bags and left. Clara and Rachel probably egged her on, giggling about how I'd get over it while they planned their big adventure. They'd always treated me like the boring husband, the guy who paid the bills, but didn't matter. Well, they were wrong. I mattered now, didn't I? They were feeling it. Every declined card, every night in that hostel, every bug bite. I'd taken their perfect little world and smashed it. And it felt good. The phone buzzed again. Another text from Sophia. Please just talk to me. We can't keep doing this. I snorted, setting it down without replying. Doing what? Surviving without me. She'd figure it out or she wouldn't. I didn't care anymore. I thought about Rome, how she'd bragged about it for weeks. The food, the shopping, the views. She'd wanted to be some Instagram queen, posing with her friends, living a life I'd funded. Now they were stuck, probably begging strangers for help or calling their parents like kids. Rachel's "this is all your fault" stuck in my head. And I almost laughed. My fault. They'd made their bed when they left me here. I wasn't the one who chose a vacation over a husband in a hospital. That was on them. On her. I closed my eyes, letting my mind wander. What were they doing right now? Huddled in that hostel, arguing over whose fault it was. Sophia crying, Clara complaining, Rachel yelling at the world. I could see it clear as day, and it didn't make me sad. It made me feel strong, like I'd finally taken something back. I'd been the guy who fixed everything for so long. Her problems, her wants, her life. Not this time. She'd crossed the line, and I wasn't running to save her. The nurse came in, checking my chart, asking if I needed anything. I shook my head, keeping my face blank. She left and I was alone again. Just me and the quiet. My phone buzzed once more. Sophia probably with another plate. I didn't check. I didn't need to. Her Rome fantasy was dead and I'd killed it. No guilt, no second thoughts. Just the cold, hard truth that she'd brought this on herself. I settled back, letting that sink in. And for the first time in days, I didn't feel weak. I felt free. The day I got discharged from the hospital felt like a weight lifting off my chest, even if my body still ached with every step. My arm was still in its cast, my ribs tender under the bandages. but I could move, breathe, think without the fog of pain meds clouding everything. The nurse handed me my discharge papers, a stack of instructions about rest and follow-ups, and I nodded, barely listening. My mind was already somewhere else. On Sophia, on what she'd done, on what I was about to do. Her texts and calls had slowed down over the last couple of days, but they still came, each one a mix of begging and blaming. "Please, babe, I'm sorry," she'd write then. "How could you leave us like this?" I hadn't answered since that one call, hadn't given her a word. She didn't deserve it. She'd left me in this place, broken and alone, to chase her Rome dream. And I'd made her pay for it. Locked her out, cut her off, stranded her. Now it was time to finish what I'd started. I got home in a cab, the driver quiet as he dropped me off at our little house. It felt strange walking in. The living room still smelled like her perfume, her shoes scattered by the door, a half-empty coffee mug on the counter. It was ours, but it didn't feel like mine anymore. I set my bag down, wincing as my ribs protested, and headed straight for my laptop. I'd been thinking about this since the hospital, turning it over in my head while I stared at those white ceilings. She wasn't just out of money in Rome. She was out of my life. I'd given her everything for years, let her spend my paychecks, ignored the way she brushed me off. No more. I sat at the kitchen table, the same one where I'd eaten alone so many nights while she was out with Clara and Rachel, and logged into our accounts again. This time, it wasn't about blocking her. It was about cutting her loose for good. First, I closed our joint credit cards. We had two, both with her name on them, both racked up with charges from her trips and shopping sprees. I'd paid them off every month, gritting my teeth as the bills came in. Not anymore. I called the bank, my voice steady as I told them to shut them down. "Yes, both accounts," I said when the guy asked. "Cancel them completely." It took 10 minutes, and when I hung up, I felt lighter. She wouldn't swipe those cards again. Not in Rome, not anywhere. Next, I opened a new account just for me. I transferred every penny from our joint checking and savings. Years of my work, my overtime, my sacrifices into it. The balance wasn't huge, but it was mine, and she wasn't touching it. I changed the passwords, set up new security questions, made sure she couldn't get in. She'd have nothing now. No backup, no safety net, just whatever cash she'd scraped together over there. Then came the big one. I pulled up a website I'd found late one night in the hospital. A divorce attorney, local, good reviews. My stomach twisted as I clicked the contact form, but I didn't stop. I want to file for divorce. I typed, keeping it short. My wife's out of the country, and I need this done fast. I hit send, leaning back in the chair, my good hand shaking a little. Divorce. The word felt heavy, real, but right. I'd loved her, built my life around her, and she'd thrown it away with that voicemail. Don't call and disturb us. I wasn't her husband anymore. Not in any way that mattered. She'd lost me the second she chose Rome over me. And this was just making it official. The lawyer emailed back within an hour, asking for a call. I set it up for the next day, my voice calm as I confirmed it was happening. She was gone. I stood up pacing the kitchen, the reality settling in. Sophia didn't just lose her money. She lost me. All those years I'd been the one holding us together, paying for her life, letting her treat me like an afterthought. I'd ignored the signs. Her eye rolls when I talked about saving her giggles with Clara and Rachel, about how serious I was. I told myself it was fine, that she loved me in her own way. But lying in that hospital bed, listening to her tell me not to bother her while I was broken, I saw the truth. She didn't love me. She loved what I gave her. And now that was over. I thought about her in that hostel, scratching bedbug bites, panicking with her friends. She'd come back eventually, broke, mad, probably screaming about how unfair this was. I didn't care. She'd made her choice, and I'd made mine. I walked to the bedroom, looking at her side of the closet, dresses, heels, all the stuff I'd bought her. Part of me wanted to trash it, burn it, but I left it alone. Let her deal with it when she got here. I grabbed a bag and packed my own things, clothes, my laptop, a few books. I wasn't staying in this house, not with her ghost everywhere. I'd find a new place, start over, leave this life behind. My phone buzzed again. Another text from her. We're coming home soon. Please, let's talk. I didn't reply. There was nothing to say. She'd lost more than a trip. She'd lost me, and I wasn't going back. I locked the door behind me, the bag over my shoulder, and stepped into the cool evening air. For the first time in years, I felt like I was walking towards something, not just running to fix her messes. And it felt damn good. I was sitting on the couch in my buddy's spare room when Sophia finally came back. My phone buzzing with a new kind of energy that day. I'd moved out of our house a few days after getting discharged, crashing with Mike while I figured out my next step. My arm was still in its cast, my ribs sore. But I could get around better now. And the freedom of not being in that hospital or that house felt like a fresh start. I'd cut Sophia off completely, closed the cards, moved my money, contacted the divorce lawyer. She'd been stuck in Rome with Clara and Rachel, scrambling after I locked her out of everything. And her texts had gone from begging to quiet over the last week. I figured she'd found a way back, borrowed cash, called her parents, something. But I didn't care how. I was done. Then that afternoon, my phone lit up with a new message. I'm home. We need to talk. My stomach tightened, but not with worry, with something harder, colder. She was back, and I knew what was coming. I drove to the house an hour later, pulling up in my rental truck. The old one was totaled from the crash. The street looked the same, quiet and familiar, but it didn't feel like mine anymore. Her car was in the driveway, a little beat-up rental I didn't recognize. She must have scraped together enough to get it. I grabbed the manila envelope from the passenger seat, the divorce papers the lawyer had sent over, and stepped out, my boots heavy on the pavement. The front door was unlocked when I got there, and I walked in without knocking. Sophia was in the living room, pacing, her hair messy, her eyes red like she'd been crying. She looked different, smaller, somehow without her usual polish. Her suitcase was dumped by the couch, still packed, and the air smelled like stale coffee. She spun around when she heard me, her face twisting into something between anger and shock. "You're here," she said, her voice sharp. Finally, I didn't say anything at first, just stood there, the envelope in my hand. She launched into it before I could open my mouth. "Do you have any idea what you put me through?" she yelled, her hands flying as she talked. We were stuck in Rome, sleeping in a disgusting hostel, begging for money like homeless people. Clara and Rachel won't even talk to me anymore. They blame me for everything, and it's all because of you. How could you be so cruel? Her voice cracked, but I didn't flinch. I'd heard it all before. Her texts, her voicemails, the same mix of guilt and fury. I let her go on, ranting about the bed bugs, the embarrassment, the way they'd had to borrow cash from some guy at the airport to get home. She was loud, her face red, pacing like a caged animal. I waited calm until she stopped, glaring at me like I owed her something. "What's that?" she snapped, her eyes dropping to the envelope. I held it up, letting her see it clear. "Divorce papers," I said, my voice flat, steady. Her face went white like the air had been sucked out of her. "You're not serious," she said. quieter now, almost a whisper. I didn't answer with words, just pulled a folded paper from my pocket, the printed transcript of her voicemail I'd had typed up in the hospital. I handed it to her, watching her eyes scan it. "Hey, babe, hope you're feeling better. We're going ahead as scheduled. Please don't call and disturb us." She stared at it, her hands shaking a little, and I spoke again, slow and deliberate. "You said, 'Don't disturb us.' Now I'm giving you exactly what you wanted." She looked up at me, her mouth opening, but nothing came out. For once, she didn't have a comeback, no quick excuse or sharp reply, just silence. I stepped closer, keeping my voice low but hard. "You left me in a hospital bed. Sophia, I almost died. Crashed my truck, broke my bones, and you didn't even check if I was alive before you took off with your friends. I paid for that trip, every damn cent, and you couldn't wait one day to see if I'd wake up. You told me not to bother you, like I was nothing. So don't stand there acting like I'm the bad guy." Her eyes filled up, tears spilling over, but I didn't stop. "You made your choice. You picked Rome, picked them, picked yourself over me. And now you're mad because I stopped being your bank, because I stopped letting you walk all over me. Too bad." She shook her head, stammering. I didn't mean it like that. I was stupid. I didn't think." I cut her off sharp. "Yeah, you didn't think. You never did. And I'm done waiting for you to start." She sank onto the couch, the paper crumpling in her hands, crying now. Big, messy sobs. "Please, we can fix this," she said, her voice breaking. "I'm sorry I messed up. I know I did. But don't do this." I didn't move, didn't soften. I'd heard sorry before, seen those tears, and they'd always pull me back in. Not this time. "You don't get it," I said cold. "There's nothing left to fix. You broke it when you left me there." I tapped the envelope. "It's just the paperwork." She looked up, her face a wreck, but I was already turning for the door. "Sign them," I said over my shoulder. "Or don't. Either way, we're done." I walked out, the sound of her crying fading behind me, and got in the truck. My hands gripped the wheel steady as I drove away. She'd had her last straw, and I just burned it. The weeks after I handed Sophia those divorce papers felt like waking up from a long, bad dream. I was still crashing at Mike's place, his spare room a mess of my clothes and boxes. But it was better than being in that house with her ghost everywhere. My arm was healing still in the cast, but I could move it a little now. And my ribs didn't scream every time I breathed anymore. The hospital was behind me, and so was she. I'd cut her out of my accounts, out of my life, and I wasn't looking back. The lawyer was handling the divorce. Papers filed, waiting on her to sign or fight it. I didn't care which. I was done waiting for her to figure out what she wanted. For the first time in years, I was focusing on me. And it felt good. Damn good. Like I'd taken the wheel of my own life again after letting her drive it into the ground. I started small. Found a new apartment, a little one-bedroom place across town with big windows and a view of the park. It wasn't fancy. Not like the stuff Sophia loved. But it was mine. I signed the lease with my good hand, the landlord giving me a nod like he knew I was starting over. Moving in was slow. Carrying boxes with one arm isn't easy. But Mike helped, cracking jokes about my taste and furniture while we hauled stuff up the stairs. "You're free now, man," he said, slapping my shoulder, careful not to hit the bad one. "No more funding her Instagram life." I laughed, the first real laugh in weeks, and it hit me. He was right. No more late nights working for her trips. No more smiling through her eye rolls. Just me, my space, my rules. I set up the place simple. A couch, a TV, a bed with clean sheets, and sat there that first night, the quiet sinking in. It was peaceful, not lonely. I liked it. Then I did something I'd never done before. I booked a trip Greece solo. Sophia always picked our vacations, dragging me to places she could show off online. But this was mine. I'd seen pictures of Santorini, white buildings, blue water, sunsets that looked like fire. And I wanted it for me, not for anyone else. I used my new account, the one she couldn't touch, and paid for it with money I'd earned, not money I owed her. The flight was in a week, and I spent the days before packing light, planning nothing fancy, just me, some clothes, and a chance to breathe. When I got there, it was better than the pictures. The air smelled like salt and flowers. The streets were quiet and nobody knew me. I walked slow, my ribs still tender, and watched the sun dip into the sea from a little cafe. A beer in my hand. No phone buzzing, no demands. Just me and the world. It was the first time I'd felt free in years. Back home, I started finding people who actually gave a damn. Mike was one, always there with a beer or a bad joke. Then there was Sarah, a co-worker I'd never really talked to before. She'd heard about the crash, asked how I was doing, and didn't push when I kept it short. We started grabbing coffee sometimes, just talking, work, movies, nothing heavy. She wasn't like Sophia. No drama, no demands, just easy. I wasn't looking for anything. Not yet. But it was nice to be around someone who saw me, not what I could give them. I hung out with old friends too. Guys I'd lost touch with while I was busy keeping Sophia happy. We'd watch games, shoot pool, laugh about dumb stuff. They didn't care about my busted arm or my busted marriage. They just cared I was there. It was simple, real, and I'd forgotten how much I needed that. Sophia didn't let go easy, though. Her texts kept coming softer now, like she thought she could reel me back in. "We miss you. Please, let's talk." She wrote one night while I was in Greece, the words glowing on my phone as I sat on that cafe patio. Another a few days later. "We can fix this." Then after I got back, "We're still married." I read them, each one a little stab, but I didn't reply. She'd had her chance, years of chances, and she'd blown it with that voicemail, that trip, that life where I was just a paycheck. I'd laying in that hospital bed, broken, listening to her tell me not to disturb her fun, and it had changed me. She didn't get to cry now and expect me to run back. I deleted the messages one by one, my thumbs steady on the screen. She wasn't my problem anymore. I thought about her sometimes, wondered what she was doing. Probably crashing with Clara or Rachel, maybe working some job she hated to pay her bills. She'd figure it out, or she wouldn't. I didn't care. I'd spent too long worrying about her, fixing her messes, letting her take me for granted. Now I was building something new. Nothing big, just a life that felt like mine. The apartment, the trip, the people who stuck around. It was a start, and it was enough. I'd wake up some mornings, the sun coming through those big windows, and feel lighter. Like I'd shed something heavy I didn't even know I was carrying. She'd made her choice in Rome, and I'd made mine here. I ignored her last text, "Please, just one call," and turned off my phone. I wasn't hers anymore. I was me, and I was moving forward one step at a time. Months had passed since I walked out of that house with the divorce papers in my hand, and life had settled into something I could call my own. I was in my new apartment now, the one with the big windows and the park view, sitting on the couch with a cold drink in my hand. The cast was off my arm. Finally, just a faint scar left where the break had been, and my ribs didn't ache anymore. The place was quiet. just the hum of the fridge and the soft rustle of leaves outside. I'd made it mine over time. Added a rug, some shelves, a couple of plants Sarah had insisted I wouldn't kill. It wasn't much, but it was enough, and it felt good to sit there. No weight on my shoulders, no one else's mess to clean up. I come a long way from that hospital bed, from the crash, from Sophia. She was a memory now, fading fast, and I was okay with that. I'd been scrolling through my phone, half watching some game on TV, when her name popped up one last time. It had been weeks since her last text, and I'd thought she'd given up. "Please, just one more chance," it read. Simple and quiet, not like her usual drama. I stared at it, my thumb resting on the screen, the words glowing in the dim light. Part of me wanted to laugh. After everything, she still thought she could pull me back. But another part, smaller, remembered the old days. Her smile, the way she'd curl up next to me on nights we didn't fight. It wasn't love anymore, just a flicker of what used to be. And it didn't last long. I thought about the hospital, the voicemail, "Don't call and disturb us," and how she'd left me there broken to chase her fun. That was who she was, not the girl I'd married. I'd given her years, my money, my heart, and she'd thrown it away. One more chance. She'd had 100. My finger hovered over block contact, and I didn't hesitate long. I clicked it, watching her name vanish from the thread, the screen going blank. Done. Final. No more texts, no more pleas, no more tugging at strings she'd cut herself. I set the phone down, leaning back, the cold glass of my drink sweating in my hand. It felt like closing a door I'd left cracked open too long. Not hard, not angry, just firm. She'd made her choice back in Rome, picking her trip, her friends, her life over me. Now I was making mine, and it wasn't her. I didn't need to yell or fight or prove anything. I just needed to let go. And I did. The room stayed quiet, the game flickering on the TV, and I took a sip, letting the moment settle. I wasn't looking back. Life had moved on, and I'd moved with it. The divorce was final now. The lawyer called a week ago, said she'd signed after dragging her feet. I didn't ask why she gave in. Didn't care. The house was hers, the car too. I'd let her keep what she could handle, walking away with my money and my peace. I'd heard through Mike she was working some retail job, living with Clara, scraping by. No more designer bags, no more trips. I didn't feel bad. She'd built that life, and I wasn't her safety net anymore. Me, I was good. Work was steady. My new place felt like home, and I had people around me who didn't take me for granted. Sarah and I were still grabbing coffee, sometimes dinner now. Nothing serious, just easy real. Mike and the guys kept me laughing, kept me grounded. I didn't need much, just this quiet nights, good company, a life I didn't have to share with someone who didn't care. I thought about Greece sometimes. That solo trip that showed me I could do things for myself. The sunsets, the sea, the way I'd sat there with no one to answer to. It stuck with me. I'd go again someday, maybe somewhere new. But there was no rush. I had time now, space to breathe, to figure out what I wanted. Sophia had always filled that space, her wants, her plans, her voice. And without her, it was mine to shape. I'd started small, fixed up the apartment, took up running once my ribs healed, even tried cooking more than just frozen junk, little things, but they added up and they were mine. I wasn't the guy from before, the one who worked late to fund her life, who smiled through her snubs. I was me, 32, and starting over. And it didn't scare me. It felt right. The TV droned on, the game ending with a cheer I barely heard. I finished my drink, the glass empty in my hand, and stood to grab another. The park outside was dark now, street lights glowing through the trees, and I paused by the window, looking out. No regrets. That was the thing. I didn't regret cutting her off, leaving her stranded, walking away. She'd pushed me there and I'd pushed back. And now I was here on the other side. Stronger maybe, lighter for sure. I didn't wonder what she was doing. Didn't care if she was sorry. She was gone, blocked, out of my world. And I was moving on. I grabbed another drink from the fridge, the cold air brushing my face, and went back to the couch. The night stretched out ahead, simple and mine, and I settled in. No looking back, just forward.